They're beyond rose-colored glasses. These people are wearing an eye patch and they have a pinhole on the other eye. They are literally out of touch. Nobody challenges them, and that's the problem. I testified to Senator Patrick Moynihan, God rest his soul, and I testified on secrecy and what secrecy does. Secrecy makes you stupid.
That's right. I want to go to some calls, but let's talk about, and I can't wait to read your book, open source everything, because when it's open source everything, you get the transparency, the truth will emerge very easily, and then there's such a deeper understanding. But exactly, in a national security state, it just lets lies and fraud and laziness grow. They want to make everything secret because they want to cover up all their screw-ups.
They want to make everything secret in part to avoid accountability.
Yeah. And then it's like a new title of nobility, too. It's like, oh, I have a security clearance.
Yeah, well, that's become so devalued now. I mean, unfortunately, a security clearance today does not mean that you're trustworthy. It means that you have accepted slavery.
Wow, that's a heavy statement.
Well, I tell you something. The threats that are being made to my colleagues today, they are being told that if they have a Twitter or if they have a Facebook post or if they are seen anywhere within 3 miles of a journalist, they will lose their security clearance.
They've tried to arrest members of the State Department that publicly at press conferences go talk to Fox News for 5 minutes and give their personal opinion about Kim Jong-un. I mean, it's like, we will arrest you for state secrets. I mean,
you and I are loyal dissidents. And one of the problems that our government has today is it does not understand that we are the canary in the coal mine. We are the loyal people saying, you have a problem here. And so they're killing the canary to have no warning. And that's a huge mistake.
But I agree with you, it's starting to turn around. But won't the entrenched bureaucracies and special interests and foreign interests, won't they pull off a huge false flag? Or have we exposed false flags so well now that it's into the vernacular that they are hesitant to use it?
No, they will have another false flag. In fact, the false flag I'm hearing about is a simulated Ebola attack in which they actually use biochemical weapons that dissipate, but then they pretend that it's Ebola and that it has been brought here by Saudi martyrs. Okay, so no, we have not reached the end of the false flag line. However, what we have reached is, I did my first graduate thesis on predicting revolution, and there's a difference between preconditions of revolution and precipitants. And I have posted a graphic on preconditions of revolution that exist in the USA today. Now, a precipitant is like the Tunisian fruit seller. My preferred precipitant is a soccer mom that tortures herself on the steps of Capitol Hill, and it appears on YouTube. But the bottom line is the next false flag could lead to a general strike across this country.
People really are not buying it. I mean, they just get caught. I talked to the military, and I'm not exaggerating. It was 50% of the military, enlisted or officers I talked to 10 years ago that were somewhat awake. 2 years ago, it was like 75%. It's like 90% now.
I agree with false. 100%.
That's why
military. In fact, the military veterans, 22 of whom are committing suicide every single day. Military veterans plus unemployed college kids plus unemployed old guys like me. In my demographic, the unemployment rate is closer to 40%. The real unemployment in the United States, according to shadowstats.com, is 22%.
Yep.
Okay. And if we all come together and you throw into that the soccer moms, I think you have the beginning of a revolution in the United States of America. And that's why I ran for president, to get an electoral reform act that would put the public back in charge. And every single person running for the presidency, including Ron Paul, refused to engage because they wanted to keep their sugar bowl going.
Well, if you talk about, people like Colonel Schaefer has so much courage, they tried to throw him in jail for speaking out, made up stuff. They tried to... William Binney, at number 4 at the NSA, the director of one of their major programs, they've been trying to put him in prison. And they're now calling me up saying, listen, we're going to set you up and put you in prison. I haven't got to this yet on air, but I mean, it's been multiple people just point blank saying, we're going to come after you if you don't shut your mouth. And I don't think they understand. It's going to get to the point where I'm going to come after them, and I don't mean in a violent way. I mean, these roads go two ways here. You know what I mean?
I do. Unfortunately, I think they have the power to do more damage to you than we have to do to them. But if you were to disappear, I would be very pleased if your audience rose up and demanded habeas corpus. Because if Alex Jones goes off the air, people will notice. If I disappear, nobody will notice.
Well, it's just unprecedented how just... Do you think that the power structure feels cornered now, or does it feel arrogant?
First off, there's no such thing as one power structure.
Bunch of interest.
You have the FBI as multiple FBIs. I've posted a thing on how there's actually 7 CIAs. And so what you're probably dealing with is mid-level to low-level morons that do not have the approval of their senior agency heads.
Yeah, no, that's what I've been told by the Marines. Because I've dealt with State Department security forces, like just trying to like go cover an Obama event, and, running around. It's just, I don't know. I was like, I tell you, these guys, how are you doing this? How are you doing this to us? We've done nothing. We'll be right back to take some phone calls. Amazing interview.
On the average, Americans work between 45 to 50 years, hoping to build up enough wealth to retire and live out their golden years. Unfortunately, with taxation, the rising cost of food, energy, housing, and medical, many retirees are forced to live below the poverty line. Is this a flaw free enterprise, or is our monetary unit we call the Federal Reserve Note forcing us into perpetual debt, ensuring inflation and higher taxes? These questions and more can be answered by reading G. Edward Griffin's book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Congressman Ron Paul states it's what every American needs to know about central bank power. A gripping adventure into the secret world of international banking cartel. Hi, this is Ted Anderson. I will give a silver dollar from the early 1900s to anyone who purchases this book. Call 1-800-686-2237 and order a copy today. It's critical that the public be made aware of the system. Call and order your copy today at 1-800-686-2237. That's 1-800-686-2237.
This is an alert. If your business or church is building this year, you're about to pay more than you should. And this could mean thousands of dollars more for your office, retail space, church, or warehouse. A General Steel building can save you as much as half the cost and time of similar conventional construction. And we're offering rebates of up to $20,000 to help you build today. Call General Steel for free information that could save you thousands. Call 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL. That's 866-917-8335.
Our big story. Gun owners react as politicians continue to ban high-capacity magazines state by state.
I think that these weapons ought to be stopped.
Magazine restrictions have already happened in 9 states. Staffed with formal special operations personnel, GunMagWarehouse.com is the only company that specializes in gun magazines. GunMagWarehouse.com has the largest selection of the magazines you should stock up on. Go now to GunMagWarehouse.com before it happens in your state. Get it before you regret it.
You've heard about the essential qualities of iodine when it comes to your well-being, and you've read the opinions of top experts regarding this good member of the halogen family. Still, reports indicate that iodine is absent in sufficient amounts from the daily lives of countless people worldwide. Now, our extra-strength new nascent iodine formula is here, Survival Shield X2, leading the way into the next generation of super high-quality nascent iodine. InfoWars Life Survival Shield X2 is derived from 200+ million-year-old salt solutions found more than 7,000 feet below the Earth's surface. The result is a unique nascent iodine that is both concentrated and free of unwanted additives, genetically modified ingredients, and completely vegan. We even pre-screen our Survival Shield X2 iodine for radiation. Pure, clean, and sourced from deep within the Earth, X2 nascent iodine is available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or call 1-888-253-3139.
We're going to do this 6-minute segment, then 5 minutes of overdrive for callers to talk to our guest here today. London Guardian wrote a big review of his latest book. It's a bestseller, and you can find out more at Amazon or any place else with the open source everything. And I want to get back for a full hour soon to talk about that specifically. But let's go to some phone calls here for our guest, Robert David Steele, highly recommended by Colonel Schaefer, and you can see why. Amazing interview. Frank in North Carolina, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, my phone's going crazy now. I got something I need to tell you, though. About 7 years ago, I was on MySpace, and I was communicating back and forth with a female police officer, NYPD. She eventually wrote a book, and I can only remember her first name, but she told me some information, and I can't recall. It's been so many years ago, I can't remember if it was off the record or what. But she said on the morning of 9/11, she was on duty. You know, she's got the badge, gun, you know, uniform, radio, all that. She said that it was very well known among the police department there that taken into custody were individuals with remote control detonators. And I said, well, how come this never made it into the media? This is many years ago when she told me this. I have not.
No, sir, that was even on Fox News, and that was in New Jersey and other areas. Let's get Steele's take on that.
Well, first off, 9/11 we got 13 different countries warned us about 9/11 3 to 6 months in advance. And Dick Cheney used that to schedule a national counterterrorism exercise specifically to allow 9/11 to happen. Dick Cheney murdered 3,000 people in order to get his trifecta for going to war in Iraq. Larry Silverstein was briefed by the Mossad and put in the controlled demolitions. The FEMA Emergency Center was set up on the piers of New York the night before 9/11. Bottom line is that 9/11 was government complicity. It was a crime against humanity, and Richard Gage and the architects and engineers of 9/11 are finally gaining traction. And I am, with a great deal of pride, a 9/11 truther. This was all a contrived operation that murdered people, including foreigners, on United States soil with the complicity of Dick Cheney in the White House.
And now it's going to come out in the 28-page report that I've talked to congressmen who've seen it, Walter Jones and others, clearly says Saudi Arabia involved, stand down was ordered, and even Ron Paul has come out now and said there was clearly a stand down. Well, that's complicity right there.
Yes, and I'm glad to see Ron Paul get into this, because I think I would have voted for Ron Paul as president if he had not let the Republicans steal the last election from him. The Saudis provided the passports, and the Saudis provided the kind of the pretext for operations. I personally do not believe that airplanes hit the Twin Towers, and I personally believe that a missile took out the Pentagon. But what I like to do, and I honor the guy that wrote Crossing the Rubicon, Rupert.
Michael Rupert.
Yes, he may in fact have been pressed to suicide. But the bottom line here is, what I like to say is, I am absolutely certain 9/11 has not been properly investigated. I completely support Richard Gage's call for an independently funded investigation. And I have lectured in New York, and I have said, if you give me the 90 days of Larry Silverstein prior to 9/11, I will give you the entire plot.
So are you saying, I know under Bluebeam and other programs they have giant hologram projectors.
I'm not sure it was holograms as much as planes flying by, drones. There are multiple different kinds of things, including cloaking devices. I mean, we have some very advanced technology.
Well, sure. I mean, I was told about that 20 years ago, and now they've admitted they got tanks and planes that are see-through.
You were ahead of your time. But the bottom line here is the 3 buildings in New York came down with controlled demolitions. I don't care what hit them. Whatever hit them did not bring them down. They were brought down with controlled demolitions, and the Pentagon was hit.
Well, undoubtedly, some of those planes look like they were cargo planes painted up, look like passenger planes. I don't know. Just that we know the official story isn't true. We know that. We'll be right back in 1 minute. Talk to Chip and Tony and others. Just amazing. Amazing interviewing our guests. 5beta-iota.net. Stay with us.
Using unparalleled research in the development of a synergistic formulation based around the key concepts of super oxygenation, the next level in cleansing is here. With key ingredients backed by real clinical studies, the new Oxy Powder, available through InfoWars Life, was invented during Dr. Group's research on the toxification of our bodies. Many herbal colon cleansers are harsh on the body and contain cheap and potentially dangerous ingredients, oftentimes full of synthetic fillers, GMOs, additives, or worse. Gently start cleaning your body with easy capsules that start working while you sleep. Oxy Powder does not require time off work, and there's no need for bad tasting concoctions. Instead, Oxy Powder slowly releases monoatomic oxygen into the intestinal tract and body. Experience the astonishing cleansing power of superoxide and ozonide technology. Go to InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com to get started with Oxy Powder, or call 1-888-253-3139.